So here's the thing. My wife wants a different countertop. In fact, I already got the countertop itself picked out. Right there. Or rather, she picked it out. And I've got it into the van. Nice big long chunk of some it's acacia wood, but it's kind of like a butcher block arrangement with chunks of wood. Relatively economically obtained, but the stove, she doesn't like the gas stove, so she wants to have the induction burner instead. I mean, she wanted a convection microwave. I got her a convection microwave. She wants induction burner. Okay, she got an induction burner. She wants me to pull out the gas burners and put in the induction burner in place, and oh, by the way, replace the countertop while you're at it. Okay, sure, I can do that, not a problem. So before I got too long on the process, I figured I better catch this on video, give y'all some fun entertainment here. So I'm reaching underneath and I'm pulling the screws out from the top. They're hiding under these rubber buttons. And then there's a metal piece underneath that I'm trying to remove. And there it is. Got it. So metal plate, little L bracket kind of thing. Looks like looks like just a piece of aluminum with some holes in it. And then I'm keeping these just in case, because my plan is, okay, well, she doesn't want the burners in the kitchen, in the van, but there's that nice spigot on the tail of the van, and I'm planning on doing a workbench off the tail anyway, so hey, I can have the burners there on a plug-in hose connection when it's absolutely needed, or just because I want to use the burners or whatever. So I'm not going to get rid of, unlike the TV and the Jensen, I'm not going to get rid of, oop, I forgot to grab the piece underneath. There we go. Alright, well, that one doesn't want to come out yet, so, and I've already looked, I've already had a look-see underneath. Let me give you a quick look underneath. Is this thing still running? Yeah, okay. So, up underneath, oh, boy, I sure would help if I had a light. Where's my phone? Alright, so phone glitch, and we have here the result of removing the final bracket. This one actually got stuck in the foam core between the top and bottom layers of the original counter material. Slight manufacturing goop, but it wasn't causing any problems. And then this is removable. I've already pulled the 12-volt feed off that runs the ignition, and then I need to disconnect this and cap it off with gas off, of course. I'm hoping I can find the other end of this cable and remove it completely, and end up using this on the tail of the vehicle off of the connector plug later. So that's the general plan. So that's very removable. Came out 1, 2, 3 with the screws on the top. And then the step after that's going to be actually replacing the countertop with new wood. Yeehaw. Alright, let's see, are we recording? Yes, we're recording. Alright, so here in the Home Depot parking lot, someplace I frequent, I went ahead and pulled the hose off in order to make sure I had the right fitting. Went into Home Depot, got a 3/8 inch plug, which, oopsie, if I don't drop it first, which fits the thread. Now this is what's called flare. This is what's used on the gas piping, and that's just to make sure that it fits in the angled, the angle here part fits the other part of the angled and creates a firm seal. So I'm going to seal that in real nice. I thought about putting some pipe dope on it, but this is just really a temporary measure, as I really want to remove this hose. There's no sense in it being here any longer with the removal of the burners. So that's nice and tight. I'll turn my LP back on, get my fridge back running on LP again. Of course, I'll leak test that, which will basically you can put sudsy water in it, or just put it in something, putting in a fluid, putting in water. If you leave it sit there long enough, if there's any bubbles forming, you know you got a leak. So that's it. The burner has now been removed in preparation for replacing the counter. So this is day 2 of this project, and I'm eager to see what happens next. All right. Yep, and I've just bumped the camera. Here we go. Okay. So today's fun task, after previously having disconnected and removed the stove, which is just sitting in here for convenience sake at the moment, it's not in use. Next step is going to be removing the sink. More or less the same process. Pull the screws out, also disconnect the water fittings, which reminds me I need to switch off the water pump, because there we go, we're going to have to remove, oh shoot, we're going to have to remove the faucet as well. And I know how to do that because I've already replaced it once. So I also need to get a few other things out. Again, this is a project entailing removing this countertop and replacing it with wood countertop, slightly larger in a couple of dimensions, and not making the hole for the burners, but instead there'll be a cutout installed for an induction cooktop. So let's get this stuff out of the way. And this was just stuck on with command. Uh-oh. That one's coming off anyway. Well, they both come off. There we go. Alright. So that's all trash. Okay. So first thing I need to do is get up underneath here and disconnect the drain pipe fitting. 1, 2, 3 done. That was easy. And then I need to pop off these little covers. This one I'd actually glued on because it kept popping off I didn't want to. And then we're going to remove the screws and see if we can't get the basin loose. And then once I've got the, let's see what's connecting that. Oh, it's another case of going into something underneath. Okay. So we'll go ahead and turn it loose, holding on to the flangey bit below, which turns out to be some kind of interestingly shaped bit of plastic. And this should just pull out. Yep. And it's got a little bit of rust on it. So that's interesting. So my plan on this time around is to go ahead and reuse the existing sink. There's always a possibility later I could come across a sink I like better, or rather one that my wife likes better, and we swap that out. Hopefully it is no smaller such that I would have to start over with the with another piece of wood top in order to get it come out. Hopefully. That's not working for me. Why is it not working for me? Because that was a Phillips head. I mean, that really was a Phillips head. This one is not a Phillips head. It's a hex or Torx. I think it's a Torx. Yeah, that looks like a Torx. Well, isn't that interesting? Alright, let's go down the sides. There we go, that's the size. And just to get the job done real quickly here, rather than digging through my stuff for the drill bits, the drills, drivers, I'll just get her done manually. Alright, well that was a surprise. I wonder if there wasn't a replacement of a part at some point that resulted in one of these being Phillips instead of Torx. Oh, it's a completely different animal. Yeah, somebody apparently, where did that thing go? Here it is. Apparently somebody replaced this thing at some point. Like maybe it had stripped out, and so they put a bigger thread in, and this one happened to use a Phillips. That's interesting. Okay. So that was different. Uh-oh, I'm stripping. That's not good. Alright, I better get my driver. Have to put some pressure on that. Yeah, that's kind of ugly. I may want to replace these Torx bits. Don't think that's the way I want to keep that. something smaller. Apparently not. There we go. That'll do. Keep all my parts. Okay. So this should now lift out, and it does. So the next step is to get the connectors for the water. It's light. What do I do with my light? There it is. Alright, I need the wrench. Okay, that's the cold side. This is dribbling all over the place. And I'll get the hot side. Okay. Alright, that should now lift right out. It does. Voila. Set that over. And I'm dribbling. Set that over there. Alright. Next step is going to be to remove the entire countertop. So these parts can go in the sink basin. Bit. Okay. So now I have this entire countertop disconnected except for the screws that are now accessible at different points along underneath. And there's a good number of them. It shouldn't take me too long to get them all loosened up. I may want to start with this. Take this out of my pocket before I dump it. Okay. So there's L brackets every so often, and a couple of screws in each. next screws. Looks like there's none across the back. There's several across the front. I think that's all of them. Sure feels looser. Now it's been caulked against the wall there, and that's giving me some resistance. But I want to make sure I haven't missed anything that's tied into. That seems loose. Check for screw holes going. Aha! I don't know if I'm getting it or not. I have to do that manually. I don't think I'm getting it. I have some difficulty with that one. Well, worst case scenario is I can always chop the wood around it and then retrofit something on it later. Yeah, I'm not getting that one, which is disappointing. That appears to be the only thing tying me down still. Oh, wait a second. Oh, there's another hole over here in there. There are two holes. There's another one. Okay, so that's why there wasn't a whole lot of brackets across the back. There's screws coming up through the wood. I think I got this one. Maybe. Okay, so this is day 3, and I've ended up disassembling more than I originally planned on. And the reason being that after I got the counter removed, I then was looking at how am I going to step the counter to go around the two pieces of plastic on the back wall. And as I was pushing on the plastic, it moves. And it moves enough that these two pieces almost come flat. And that bothered me, because it occurred to me that, well, maybe they don't need to not be flat. Maybe there doesn't need to be this junction, this big ugly covered by a strip junction. So I want to see just what's underneath there. So I pulled this piece here off, the left piece that's over the top of this metal, that's over the top of the backsplash area. And when I pulled that off, I realized that there's this huge gap back in behind here. And I'm thinking, boy, that'd be great for a window if I wanted a window, if my wife wanted a window. Fortunately, she's not interested in having a window, which is good, because that's a hassle I don't want to go into. Other people have done it, and power to them. It would be cool to have a window there, no question, but I have no impetus to, since Crystal is not asking for it. I also checked with her just to see, okay, you got all this extra, you know, there's like, what, 3 inches here of additional space? Yeah, there's a good 3 inches of space behind here. Now, yes, it's taken up by this piece of insulation, which is probably a good thing. All the more insulation, the better. But what I did want to do, though, was go ahead and eliminate that that step between the two pieces of wood. I'm sorry, the two pieces of plastic, where one's overlapping the other. So the plan is that I'm replacing this backsplash area with one piece of wood, which I have cut out here, and that will form a single backsplash area. Get that to fit down in here without pinching any cables. There you go. Cut out here to fit on that, and when it's screwed back into the buttresses behind here, it will have a slight bend and a slight angle, but it'll be flat. So the copper tile that she wants attached to this will be able to go completely across without any problem. Now I'm going to have to trim some extra off here and do some kind of cover-up piece along the side as well. I'm fashioning that out of some oak that I have later. But and then of course the cabinet goes back in here where it was, so that's not a problem. So basically that's in. It's up against the wall. It's put the screws in to tighten it. I'll probably have to pull it out one more time to mark where the vertical bars are here, so I know how to square I can screw into them. But that's the day 3 of this project plan, is to replace the backsplash. This is basically 1/2 inch pine board with some notches and trim pieces out. And once I've got that in there, then the new countertop will go in and will be angle cut along the back to match the back trim piece. So this will be the new counter for the kitchen, and we'll put the old cabinet back in. One interesting thing is there's a 3-wire connector here that was just sitting from basically just hanging out of the ceiling. I'm kind of wondering if that isn't like a dome light from the original van or something. That, but it's the clothy type wrap wire instead of the tube. You can always tell between Winnebago wiring and factory vehicle wiring, chassis wiring. The chassis wiring has a flexible soft fabric type of tubing or just a wrap, whereas the Winnebago always has the I don't know what you would call that, kind of a zip tube, just the corrugated tube, corrugated plastic tube, which is better than not having a tube. Less chance of wires chafing, especially if it's got AC in it. You definitely don't want a problem with that. So anyway, that's the plan. And I have quite a few more steps to go through, including cutting the sink out, and then eventually the induction will go in here as well. Yeehaw. All right. Turn the air conditioning back on. I'm hot. So now I'm working on getting, I've got the backsplash in play, I mean the piece of wall, the piece of board that the backsplash tiles will be put onto. Now I'm in the process of cutting out the hole for the sink to go into, using a router and a pivoting center point. So dear,
Yes, darling.
what are we doing today?
Today we are re-veneering the cabinet above the kitchen with my lovely new countertop and backsplash. It was time to put real oak on the walls in the kitchen and around the dinette. We're planning to make this our home, and I want it to feel like a home.
Cool. So what are you spreading on there?
This is contact cement. It's on the back of paper-backed veneer. Really stinky stuff. Make sure you have lots of ventilation and you're not smoking or having any kind of flame. And you put it on both pieces until it's shiny. Let it sit for 20 minutes, and then you get to attempt to put them together. Be very careful about placement, because as soon as they touch each other, they are permanently bonded.
Oh my. So you gotta get it right the first time.
Gotta get it right the first time. It's a really good idea to use rollers between them, like dowel rods. And since we don't have dowel rods, we're going to use skewers.
What about a rolling pin?
That would only keep part of it up.
Oh, okay. Well, you mean to stick it down once you get it?
Now this is to keep them from touching until you've got your placement fine.
Oh, I see.
But we're going to cheat a little bit. Our piece is much bigger than we need, so that we will put it down and then trim it up, so we don't have to be perfectly aligned.
Well, that does make it a whole lot easier.
Now, if only somebody could tell me how to do that to the wall that is still attached to the van. Alright, so our 20 minutes starts, and our foam brush goes in the trash because it needs to be cleaned with solvent, and we have none.
That's okay. Foam brushes are cheap.
They're cheap, they're easy to come by.
Okay. Alright, well, I'll check back with you when we start putting it on.
Yay!
All right, we're rolling.
All right then, so we're back. It's been 20 minutes. I have laid out some skewers to try to keep keep them from contacting each other until we're ready for them to. So, making sure that I have both sides are tacky and that I have the grain in the direction that I want it to run. Oops, almost screwed up there. All right then. I'm just going to gently place it down and remove the skewers as we go.
Looks good.
I like my wood.
All right. I'd say that's stuck down, huh?
Oh yeah. Could probably pick the cabinet up with it now. But we won't do that. We will put some weight on this and let it sit for a while, and then we will trim all the edges flush.
Which should be just a simple matter of knifing them.
Except we forgot to finish it. Did you want to go ahead and spray finish it now?
Not in the house. Of course, it's already smelly, but I guess we could. Where's the can? There it is. So,
Maybe you wouldn't be able to press it, anything on it, until it dries.
oh, because it'll stick into the shellac, yeah. Well, I don't think you're going to have any trouble with it coming out, huh?
I'm very happy.
All right. You want to hold the camera while I spray?
You want to spray inside, or you want to take it outside?
I'll do it here.
What about overspray?
It won't be very much.
Okay, and this is spray shellac clear,
Spray shellac. It's not amber shellac. Yeah, it's clear.
so it should just brighten up the color of the oak and seal it.
Find the edge, okay. And that way. And this is just a first coat. I can always put more on. And I can put more on with a,
I'm sure that our neighbors love the fact that we do woodworking projects in our living room at midnight.
it's not midnight,
No, not quite.
but it's late. That should do it. That's sticking up a little bit, but that's because there's
that's
nothing
not
there.
stuck to anything.
Yep.
All right, so we'll let it dry, trim it off, and we'll see you later.
Boy, that looks good.
Yeah, I'm really happy with it.
Mm-hmm. Hang on, that's all fuzzy. Okay, that's better. Go.
Hello. So final, the next step anyway, is to trim off the excess veneer. It has been contact cement and sealed and sprayed with shellac. So I'm doing it this way so hopefully it will not split or chip and I don't damage the cabinet.
Probably have to go through it a few times. You're up on the edge, you're not on the wood.
Well, that's the problem.
You were the first time.
And I'm doing this on a cutting mat, so
Doesn't matter. Oh, look at that. That worked perfect.
I'm not damaging the table it's sitting on.
Right. Hey, that couldn't have gone better.
Don't jinx me.
All right, so this is a good way. If you got damaged,
ugly.
ugly veneer, or you just want to change the veneer, this is one way to do that. Put new stuff on to the top of the old stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not doing the whole cabinet, we're just doing certain parts. In this case, stuff you see when you come in, because we're redecorating a bit. Alright, well, you get the idea.
So the next video will show it back in place, I hope.
And this is a look at the insulation that I've added behind the cabinet, including up in the nooks up here. This I have access to after I've got the cabinet installed, before I put the trim on. And so that is now much better insulated than it was. And I'm going to put the cabinet back on and make sure that it's not too much sticking out. Okay, we're rolling.
Hi. So, I have a new countertop. Absolutely love my new countertop. Not real thrilled with the vinyl backsplash that we had. Love copper, so we're going to put in a copper tile backsplash. We like the arts and crafts styling, so we're going to go with a subway tile pattern. It's really simple. These are 3D art tiles. Peel and stick. Permanent once you push them in. They said to lay them out before you started attaching them, which we did, and then I stacked them up, starting in the wall, moving out. So it should be really just straightforward. And they do have a protective cover on the front edge, on the front side as well. So once they're installed, you can peel that off. So I'll show you. Like I've got 2 in now. We'll peel one off and expose the beautiful copper. That one must have already been peeled. That one must have already peeled. So you just peel the backing. Simple, easy peasy. Line it up. And then press it down. Key to remember, don't press it down till it's where you want it.
So it's not even pulling up when you peel the covering off, huh?
Really, it is permanently attached.
Yay.
So,
And this also matches the copper in the, I guess you don't call it a ceiling splash, but
heat shield.
yeah, heat shield. Instead of the big ugly black as in the original 2014, instead of the glass that hangs down over the propane stove, there was the later models have a glass shelf. This one just had this ugly black metal construct with some foam behind it, and the light was actually installed in the metal down a smidge. So I reset the light to be in the wood, but put in copper, and it's we found it at Lowe's. It's copper plated aluminum actually, but that's going to match the backsplash.
It's going to match the backsplash. It'll be a moisture shield for the cabinet above. But since we won't have an open flame, we don't really need as much protection as that metal plate provided.
Right. And then I see you have half tiles.
Yep.
Which is what you're talking about when you're going to do the subways.
Right. Well, when we get to the end of a row, you'll see.
Okay.
They're really is almost like building with Legos. So he told you about the half block. So I measured out my open space and realized that because I want them to be offset a half of a tile. My tiles are 3 by 6.
Right.
So we just cut a few in half, and every row will have 1/2 tile.
You want to put that on that, right?
Now I want to put it here.
Because we don't know exactly where the trim's going to be here yet.
Oh, well, I thought we did.
No, we had some ideas of how it might go. But until I
Well.
get that part figured out, we should probably not put those last pieces in.
So we go with the next row, and it starts with a half tile. Oops.
Collecting plastic, are you?
I'm collecting plastic, and I'm not sure where that one went.
No, it's all right.
We'll
We'll
have
clean
to
up
get it
later.
later. All right, well, then I didn't need to cut more.
That's okay. They'll come in handy later when we do need to cut to fit the... I just assume
So
we have a
button up.
luxury of being able to get the trim right before we finish off that piece. There's a lot of little fiddly trimmy bits that have to be done.
Well, shoot, that first half one's crooked.
Oh no.
So we get to figure out how to take these off.
How bad crooked is it? Are you gonna notice? Oh, it's a huge gap. Yeah, you're gonna notice that. I got a tool for it.
All right.
And the tool is right here. There you go. That came off.
Let's see if I can put it back on now.
Is it good?
I think so. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that looks good.
All right. You weren't supposed to be able to do that, but apparently the right tool was the answer.
I always have to have the right tool.
He's an engineer. I am so not.
That's okay. We work well together. You do
Oops,
have to
oops,
peel
oops.
the paper off before you, or did you already?
I did in the back.
Oh, I see. It's a white plastic cover over a white foamy sticky.
Uh-huh.
I see. Dings in the tile, or what?
That one has 2 protective layers.
Oh, that's crazy. Yep, I'm not paying attention to the video here. I'm drifting off target. Okay.
So, that's all this is. We'll just keep going until we have the top row. So, you don't want to watch me do this for however long
No,
this takes.
no, I'll pause it. Usually what I do is I let the camera run in the tripod and then put it in super high speed, like 16x, so that you don't have to watch
Okay.
through.
I'm thinking that probably
everything.
needs to be trimmed off. That could be
Is
a
it the
problem.
foam?
Yeah, that's foam.
That's the foam?
that's-
Okay. Yeah. Oh, it's sticky.
Yeah.
I will knife that, and I'll
All
let
right.
you get on with the rest of them, and we'll revisit it as we get back to the end.
All right.
I'm going to run out of video space here in a minute.
See ya
That's
later.
why this one keeps crashing when it runs out of space. So it's coming along. And we decided where the edge would be, and then we had to build that. It's looking good, dear.
Thank you. I like it. It's what I wanted it to look like.
Mm-hmm. That's very important.
For some of us, it's extremely important.
But you didn't want a window.
No, there is no need for a window here. I'm not going to be standing here for hours cooking a meal, staring out the window, or doing dishes for hours.
Mm-hmm.
I can look out the door.
Because you probably have the door open anyway. If it's nice enough. That's looking fabulous.
So we're about halfway done.
Yep.
And it's only been, what, 15, 20 minutes? Maybe
maybe.
a half an hour.
Yeah, but we've been planning this as with most things that we do. It's lots more time planning it than actually doing it.
So,
Except for the solar, that took forever to get that in.
and the beauty about these tiles, they're peel and stick, but they have a variety of patterns. You don't have to go with the burnished metal. You can do, these have striations just in one direction. But they did have some that had them in two directions. They had some that looked hammered. There's a wide variety, so you can really be unique.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I forgot all about the upper lights. Show them the upper light, Kevin.
Voila!
Or maybe I did put that on video already.
So we can see in the cabinet now.
Yep.
The joys of being short.
And it's on a switch, so it turns off when you close the door. And I checked that it actually works. You know, it's like a fridge switch thing. So how do you tell if it's working?
Well, you push the button in and see if the light goes off.
Yeah, but how can you tell if the door is hitting the button right? That was the problem.
And how did you do it?
Well, I peeked in at the edge,
Oh, so
and
I
I
would
could
have
see.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I would have put some lipstick on the end of the push button, closed it, and if the lipstick landed on the door, then you knew they're touching.
Well, but the button could be pushed in slightly and still not shut off the light. That was the problem. Is there's a point where the switch engages electrically to shut off the light.
See,
and I
this
wasn't
is
sure
the
what that
difference
was.
between engineer and not engineer.
I have to be very precise about things working correctly.
And I am all about being in the general area.
Which is why you're good with the artsy stuff.
So we've got to figure out, once we get all these in, what to go back and roll over it to make sure that the entire tile is being pressed.
Yeah, because some of these look like they're popping out.
They are in the middle. They're not sticking on, and I don't know if that's because of the warmth or if I just don't have enough. Oh,
Well, if it falls off, we'll just,
We'll just
stick them
stick 'em
up
on
with
again.
some glue. Yeah. Some E6000, some liquid nails, something. And we have some spare tiles. So. We got 2 packages of 32 each, I think it was.
yes. 2 packages of 32.
And they're each 3 by 6 inches.
Mm-hmm. So they're 12 by 12. 4 sheets of 12 by 12. So 1 box covers 4 square feet.
All right. Well, we'll come back when we
Right.
get that.
No. 1, 2, yeah, 4, not 4 square feet. I don't know. Covers 12 inches by 48
How many sheets are in
inches.
the box?
4 per box.
And
4
each
sheets.
sheet is 1 square foot, right?
12 by 12, yes.
So that's 4 square feet in 1 box.
All right, so I was doing my math right the first time, and then I thought I was wrong. See, that happened once before in my life when I thought I was wrong, and it turned out I wasn't, you know? I'm having a habit there.
All right. We'll come back when we get the last row.
Back again?
Yep, we're back.
All right. Last piece
full piece.
before we do the cut and fitting of this top row. And so for less than an hour's worth of work, some training or some planning time, and 2 boxes of peel and stick tiles from 3D Art Tiles, I have a gorgeous copper subway tile backsplash.
It is gorgeous.
So,
And
there
it,
you
also,
have it.
and it also serves as a heat shield, a heat and water shield as well.
Okay.
Cool. All right. Well, now we got a whole bunch of extra fiddly
Gotta do
bits to
some
finish
fiddly.
up with.
Yeah.
Last bit. Trim those up.
So that's how you do it. Arc it.
I got a pencil.
I don't know if a pencil will show.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll go
Skinny marker.
find a marker and get that
All right.
going.
Need one of these there. So these are not difficult to cut. You want to just be careful to stay on your line and repeatedly cut in the same line. And then pop it. No, come on.
Did you mark an X?
Because that's the one I don't need.
When you're not. Yep.
Installing. It's crooked. Nope. Gonna have to cut again. This one's not gonna work. For some reason I got it crooked. Went to mark it and cut again. Turn the
Where is it
thingy off.
crooked? So what do you think?
You get all those top pieces trimmed in.
And then over here we're going to have a strip of wood that covers up the left side of everything, trim everything off in place of the old plastic. Because we are going for more of a wood look, wood and some copper. There you go. All right. Thank you very much for your help.
Thank you. Have a good night.